All right, guys. So some weekly news right now on NFTs. Right now it's currently September 11th, midday Pacific Standard Time, and just some quick floor prices, just so everyone gets a rough idea kind of what's going on. Mutant Apes right now is at a 12.7 ETH approximately floor. Again, this may fluctuate. That's how NFTs work during the day. Another one I actually wanted to focus on today later on in the video that I wanted to mention was actually Sappy seals. It's at a zero point 0.7, and I'll get into why I'm mentioning their floor price. Of course, most of you guys that are pretty hyped on NFTs know about the YOOts mint. That one is currently around 150, 145 floor price in Solana. And then another one I wanted to mention that, and I'll bring it up after why I'm bringing it up, is YOOT Yacht Club, which is at a zero point 0.03 ETH, around ETH floor price. So here's some approximately for the prices for crypto itself. Ethereum is approximately at a 1,700 range. Solana is approximately in like a $35 range. And just because this coin really correlates with the NFT community, with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the Ape coin it's around 550 range. So quick things I wanted to cover just so I could get into it. It's basically the YOOts mint tube, the YOOT list. Of course, most of you guys know about it. It's from Solana, which was really surprising for a lot of the community because a lot of people always trash Solana because the network breaks down, and then you could see if you look up, people make fun of them. They call them like the food stamp versions of Ethereum. It gets pretty bad, and they actually did really good. They were the most hyped up project at the time. They're still doing really well, and they released something called the YOOT list, which is pretty smart. It's a really smart marketing tactic. Some background on the YOOT list. It comes from DGOZ, which DGOZ is basically the Bored Ape Yacht Club of Solana, and they created their new project. Usually they do it just to bring in more funds. Nowadays, a lot of people, that's how they bring in the majority of the funds, especially with projects. You need to bring in you need basically revenue to come in. And they created something where like they would publicly have people apply online for this to get on the wait list. I'm not the wait list, sorry about that, the white list. And then on the white list, once and they called it the scholarship list basically. And then when you would apply, if you would get accepted, they would make a post online and tag you on it. And then and the reason this worked so well was because they went after a lot of influencers. A lot of people applied. I believe it was like over 50,000 people applied. It was ridiculous. And, obviously they were smart with it, right? Like they didn't really care about the majority of people who applied. Maybe they would like, one or two just to be like, oh, look, we're kind of being fair. But they're geniuses at the end of the day. They ended up going after all the influencers, like especially in the circle, people that I follow that are, known. Basically, people that even talked so bad about Solana in the past. These people would get spots because at the end of the day, they wanted to hype this project up. A lot of them, for example, there's like a flipper. I'll get into him after. He's a Ethereum flipper. And all he does is sell Bored Apes. He goes by Franklin. His name always changes, so even if I quote it, it's probably going to be wrong. Franklin owns 50 Bored Apes or et cetera, et cetera. And, they gave people like these spots, and they'd be like, oh, congratulations on applying, you've been accepted. And they tagged the person, so when the person would like it or retweet it, everyone else would see it. And I believe the reason they did this was because they wanted these influencers to spread the word, because this way their followers, which outnumber the influencers, right? Maybe this influencer has 50,000 followers, maybe they have 100,000 followers. They weren't going to get on the list. So if they see this influencer is going to get on it, they're all going to buy in. This is what's going to feed the secondary market. And that's what it did. I mean, the secondary market, that's where, due to the royalties, they made a lot of funds off of that too. That was their goal. They got a bunch of influencers. Basically, that's what they focused on. If you're an influencer and you had a lot of people, they more than likely you're going to get a spot. There's a few I know like Sibel. It's another one. She never ever done anything in Solana, but she applied, immediately got it. There's so many examples like that. One of the projects actually that they gave a lot to was Sappy seals. Sappy seals, as a lot of people know in the NFT space, is they're really good. To quote them, shit posters. They're all over social media. They're really good at marketing because they have a really cool tactic where basically they don't have to hire a marketing team. They make the holders do it. They have, if you hold a CEO, you're known as a shit poster, and you're basically going to be rating a bunch of different, posts. You're going to be making a bunch of memes. It's a really nice community. Actually, one of the best right now, community-wise. And let me get into that part why I'm bringing up Sappy Seals a lot. Basically, before I get into that, let me finish up with the YOOts, actually. Overall, how did the project do? There was some delays, but it did actually overall really well. If you think about, how much money they made, which was their goal, of course, they made a lot of money. After Mint, there was, a little movement that was, and some little controversies, one of which was with Franklin, one of the person that they gave their scholarship list to. He flipped it immediately. And it caused some controversy because the founder and a few people were like, why would you post this? You know what? Like you shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And that kind of brings up my next part where it's Franklin is known as a flipper. Like he flips the NFTs he loves, which is Bored Apes. And they should have known if they did more research on the people that they're giving scholarships to, right? Rather than just like, hey, how many followers you have? 200,000, cool. Let's give them a list. They didn't even look into it, right? They would have known that he was going to flip it, right? If they actually cared and put the time into it. Just to show that, of course, they didn't really look at the scholarships. More so it was a tactic for, I assume it was a tactic just for, minting, basically these influencers to mint and their followers to follow. He flipped it, and, he made a post about it. That's what he usually does. He would, if he sells a Bored Ape, he'll be like, I bought this one for last week for example, 70 ETH. I sold it a week after for 75 ETH after gas and, royalties. I made approximately 3 ETH profit. That's what he does. That's his image. That's why people love him. He flipped his YOOT mint, which is basically just a ticket to mint, the YOOT list mint tube. And people were commenting on there. There's a lot of controversy. People actually came to Franklin's defense, like, hey, that's the point of it, right? I mean, all they wanted from Franklin was for him to promote it to his followers. He's in Ethereum. Well, all his followers were from Ethereum. It worked out well. It was stupid for them to attack him, but whatever, they got their way. Franklin came out stronger. He ended up actually investing in another one that was kind of funny. It was like it was a derivative of the YOOT list called the YOOT Yacht Club. It was an Ethereum based one where no roadmap, those typical, I don't know what they call them, I guess shit NFTs where it has no usefulness. It's more so just like you jump in and then you try to jump out. It's kind of like a game. You don't know when to jump out. There's really no usefulness behind it. And it actually at one point flipped the YOOT's mint tube on Solana. Not in floor price, more in trending on OpenSea. So that means that usually gets calculated by the volume. Currently, I mentioned it has a 0.03 ETH price, so it has came down since then. It has a 1.2K volume. Franklin did a fun little joke there where he ended up jumping on there and kind of saying, hey, I bought this yacht club. I flipped it for this much money. He's been, doing a lot of jokes like that recently. He actually even made a post recently where he failed to flip a D-God and he just sold at a loss. I don't know if he just, basically now that he has a lot of people reacting to his post from Solana, he might just be trying to feed them on. And yeah, overall it did well. They did it. They haven't revealed yet on their the NFTs. They haven't revealed. They haven't came up. Basically, no one knows what NFT they got yet. They made a statement recently where the team will come back stronger. They want to, take a few days off. They said they basically agreed that they made a lot of mistakes and, that they just need some time. Overall, with this mint, this is why, I brought up Sappy Seals previously. The profits, basically from Solana, a lot of it has been coming back to Ethereum. Some projects have been pumping. And one especially that I wanted to talk about was Sappy Seals. They're really geniuses because they really know what they're doing, and that's something that I really respect. They did something that was smart. Approximately 3-4 weeks ago, there was like the Izu mint, which is really hyped on Solana. Immediately when this was announced, Sappy Seals, the founders, and they use it as leverage because they have so many holders from their club where, they basically, the founders and the team, they make them one of the top influencers because, they shitpost, and always tag these guys. And they use this as leverage, so they got in contact with the Izu team. They made partnerships, basically, and then they're able to, in a way, steal their hype, per se, right? Like, they made friends, so all these Izu guys, immediately after, making friends with Sappy Seals, they saw the founders were talking, they started putting their profits or, even their funds into the Sappy Seal community. Really genius move. And even better that they recently did it with D-Gods. And the reason I say that is D-Gods is a Solana project. And for them to do this cross-chain promotion where, they made friends with the founders of DeGods, and then basically even the founder of DeGods said, oh, Sappy seals are basically the DeGods of Ethereum. They made a strong connection. Even Magic Eden, one of the most popular marketplaces on Solana, ended up jumping in and getting basically the founder of Sappy Seals and a teammate on there on the Twitter space, which is really huge to do. And really genius marketing tactics. That's one of the top projects right now that I think marketing-wise, that they're honestly one of the best. So really cool things to see. But yeah, right now Sappy Seals is pumping. That's one of the few projects that's been pumping ever since DeGods came out. A lot of DeGod profile pictures have been basically buying into Sappy Seals right now, saying that's their first Ethereum. Really genius marketing tactics from them. But yeah, I mean, we'll see where everything goes from here. This was just this current week from September, I want to say 3rd to 11th. And we'll see what happens next week. All right, see you guys.